I saw an angel come down out of heaven, having the key to the abyss, and holding in his hand a great chain. He seized the dragon, that ancient serpent, who is the devil, or Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. He threw him into the abyss, and locked and sealed it over him, to keep him from deceiving the nations anymore until the 1,000 years were ended.
Global warming, pollution, natural disasters killing thousands at a time. Are these all evidence of an approaching apocalypse? Many believe it is so, and some are fearful, while others see it as a time for change. Hello, I'm Esther Holbrook, reporting for Truth TV. Welcome to a Truth TV special report. For many, these cataclysms are a sign of the end of the world. And many cultures believe there is a messenger or an angel who will help to save the planet. We found such an angel on the internet, and what we found was astonishing. What we found was Desiree Dubonnet. In 2006, filmmaker Bruce Marshall produced a compelling documentary in which Truth TV first learned about Desiree Dubonnet. This quest for a single interview has taken us literally around the world, from North America to Europe to Egypt, India, Australia, and back again. We begin with a previously recorded interview with Bruce Marshall. This is Esther Holbrook, and you're watching Truth TV. I'm here in the studio today with Bruce Marshall, the director of the movie Who's Afraid of Desiree Dubonnet. Bruce, thanks for being here today.
Well, thanks for having me, Miss Holbrook.
It's really great to have you here, and I have a lot of questions. But my first question is, what inspired you to make this movie about Desiree?
Well, while making this project, I was really glad to meet Desiree, first of all, and discover really very many aspects to this character / producer, movie maker, medical doctor. You name it, she covers it. What I didn't realize was there was a lot more to Desiree Dubonnet than I was led to believe in the beginning. What I discovered while I was making this film was actually, how much I was just scratching the surface of this being. In fact, it has come to my attention that she is a little bit more than what one would consider even human. And what I did discover while making this film is that Desiree Dubonnet is more or less, and let's see, the best way to put this one is a super being. I mean, really, as witnessed by, some of the outtakes from the film.
Well, let's have a look.
I'm Dr. Scott, and I've been asked to come and talk today about Desiree's brain. Bill/Desiree was injured early in life during a football game, and it was after this accident that we discovered that his brain was, in fact, very different to others. He has 3 different arteries on each side of the brain and 2 different veins, which produces an increased blood flow. This increase in vascularization seems to have affected Desiree's brain in its capacity for performance.
Well, that's certainly fascinating. At this point, what can you say? What is your take on Desiree?
Well, what I can personally say about Desiree is that I think she's a fantastic and simply a wonderful person. But as far as my film, I think we only begin to see who she really is. In fact, talk's going around town and even the world at this point that Desiree is this being sent here to, again, let's see, what's the best way to say it? She's here as actually an angel of God. Now, some people want to dispute this. I'm not quite sure how I feel about it at this point, but I'm starting to go to the side where I think she was actually sent here to do something extraordinary.
In that period, the Maya were approaching the end of one of their Baktun periods, so in some ways it may have been a self-fulfilling apocalypse. On another level, it is very clear that greed was a factor because there was a proliferation of kingdoms. And so this is a sobering message for us today that greed can precede the downfall of a civilization.
We're speaking with Professor Azteca, an expert in Mayan studies. Professor Azteca, can you tell us a bit about Mayan philosophy?
Well, according to the Mayan calendar, in the year 2012, on December 21st, which is the winter solstice, the world is going to come to an end. This is left to a lot of conjecture and debate, but this is according to the Mayan calendar, which has been very, very accurate.
Will this be the end of the Earth as we know it?
That's a very interesting question. Some say yes, and some say no for different reasons and very maybe inspirational reasons as well. It's believed, or according to some sources known, that the Mayan culture was founded and ruled by a man known as Kukulkan, who was a light or white-skinned person with long blonde hair. And he left the Mayan culture before the conquistadors invaded the culture. Also, according to the Mayan culture, in the year 2012, there is the return of the twins. And the twins are supposed to defeat the devil, and that would create new avenues for a new way of life. But these two entities could very possibly be one.
So these entities, these two twins, could actually be one person?
Yes, it's a distinct possibility. And the hero twins will have the same white skin and blonde hair as Kukulkan.
So there is a possibility that Desiree could be the hero twins combined as one, as a Gemini.
Absolutely. And if the twins could defeat the devil/greed, it could set a precedent so that a new evolution could start for the more positive existence of humanity.
So 1,000 years of peace and prosperity.
You know, yes. Exactly.
So, in your opinion, having read some of Desiree Dubonet's work, and also being an expert on Mayan studies, what is your opinion on the subject?
Yes, I've read several of his works, his philosophy, and I do believe that there is a distinct possibility that there is inspiration, there is life, there is force, there is strength, and Desiree could very well lead us into the new millennium of peace and prosperity. It's going to take a lot of work and a lot of faith, but I believe she is the one.
We are now speaking with an expert of the Quran, a student of Islam, Muhammad. So Muhammad, what does the Quran tell us about the end of time? Or the end of days, as they say?
The Quran tells us many things. There will be floods, natural disasters, and earthquake.
Many experts of the Quran say that when Jesus is worshipped as an idol, that is one of the signs of the coming of the end.
Yes, it is. It's a sign for the end.
And this is the same Jesus whose mother is Mary, who is also depicted in the Bible.
Yes. In the Quran, Jesus is recommended as a very wise man. His purpose and his teaching is very important. He isn't worshipped as an idol. That's a mistake.
So the Quran mentions angels.
Yes. At the end, there will be angels. There will be messengers. Angels will come to lead us to the peace.
And where will these angels come from?
They come from people.
From people on earth.
Yes. Teachers, messengers.
What does the Quran say about angels and these messengers?
They will lead us to 1,000 years of peace. 1,000 years will be the time of no desire.
It seems that there's a general consensus among scholars that Truth TV interviewed that something is about to happen, and Desiree Dubonnet is going to play a part in the dramatic turn of events that will change humanity forever. We decided it's time Truth TV heads to DESI headquarters in Central Europe. We're here in Budapest, Hungary, asking locals what they think about Desiree Dubonnet.
Who? I'm sorry.
Desiree Dubonnet.
I don't know her. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, thank you. No, just a one word? Who? Desiree Dubonnet.
I don't know. Never
Rock
heard
and
of
roll star, porn star, film director.
I must have missed out of that one. I don't know.
Desiree Dubonnet? Was that some kind of drink in the 80s? Je désire un Dubonnet. No?
The director. I've heard they're shooting now in Egypt.
If you add tonic water to it? Or ice in a slice? Sorry, it's a drink, isn't it?
It's been rumored that Desiree Dubonnet has special powers. What do you think about that?
Really? She has special powers?
Uh-huh, yeah. What do you think?
Well, then maybe she can help me with my boyfriend because he's a real asshole. I need someone to knock the stupid out of him.
Well, we'll find out more about that in our later report. Thank you.
Why do you hate me? Why do you despise me? Why do you berate me? You don't even know me. The pain in my heart, it's ever so clear. You hated my kind, you've hated my race for thousands of years. How can you judge me? You don't even know me. Your bigotry over minority. You hated over differences that last for years. Pain and prejudice have cost us both years. Gypsy nigger, kike spit queer. You call me out of your fear. There's one thing that's forever clear. Whatever you do, I'm still here. Gypsy nigger, kike spit queer. Your hatred eats a hole in your heart. Your confused mind sets us apart. Release the hate delusions of the past. It's a good place to start. Maybe it'll last. Why do you hate me? Why do you despise me? Why do you berate me? You don't even know me. Our children can together play. You later teach them to judge this way. Bigots are not.
The second length of my journey took me to Sinai, where Desiree Dubonnet was shooting her movie, The Angel of God. I was confident at this point that I would get an interview. Here we are on Mount Sinai, awaiting the arrival of Desiree Dubonnet. We're anticipating that an entrance sometime in the near future. And we'll see what happens then. Both Truth TV and a host of anxious fans missed Desiree and the cast of the movie Angel of God on Mount Sinai that day. My chances of getting an interview with Desiree Dubonnet were starting to grow thin. On day 2, I received an invite to the Angel of God cast party, an exclusive gathering of the film's cast and crew, which eventually would join up with another promotional party. This would give me the perfect opportunity to catch a glimpse of the private life of Desiree Dubonnet and meet some of her closest friends, and finally, interview Desiree.
Very nice to meet you today. I'm very glad to be here on the set of the Angel of God movie. Can you please introduce yourself for me?
Sure, my name is Ross Wilson. I'm an actor from Canada, and happy as always to be involved in a Desi production, my third one. So I'm very happy to be here. It's great.
So you've known Desi for a long time?
I met him 8 years ago, I think, and when he was Dr. Bill. Mm-hmm. And it was just out of the blue. I got a call saying, "Do you want to go to Hungary and do a movie?" And I went, "Yes." And then I called back later and said, "Was I dreaming?" And came over, had a great time. Ended up meeting my wife.
Desiree's activities are based in Budapest.
Oh, they certainly are. Yes, yeah, we shot the film in Budapest.
Okay, I see.
It was Sworn on the Altar.
Sworn on the Altar.
Yeah.
Okay. And what do you think about Desiree Dubonnet as the Angel of God?
I'm a non-religious person, but I think she's an angel because she helps so many people. You know, and it depends on what your definition of an angel is, I suppose.
You're Brad V. Johnson,
yes,
and an artist working with Desiree.
Yes.
And can you give me some of your impressions about Desiree?
Desiree is a very, very enigmatic person, I must say, because Desiree's vision on life is so unbelievably open and special that you must take a moment to actually take in exactly what that vision is. And it's not always very clear exactly when you meet her, but given enough time and actually allowing yourself to open yourself to the mind of Desiree Dubonnet, you find out.
And how long did it take you to open your mind?
About 2.5 months.
Really? Mm-hmm. And what did you find when you were working with Desiree after that period?
I found an unbelievably open, generous person with a heart bigger than most people I've met. And in the beginning you might say, okay, is she for real? But then you recognize that she is, because the vision is true. It's a genuine vision of peace, a genuine vision of humanity, harmony for humanity. Something that is so unbelievably rare right now in people that I've met, and because everyone's so jaded, it's like the idea that she actually believes it, and she makes you believe it.
How do you feel about Desiree Dubonnet as the Angel of God?
I believe that Desiree very well may be the Angel of God, because the vision of what she wants to bring to the world is just that pure and just that simple. And far be it from me to deny the fact that she could very well be the Angel of God, or actually is the Angel of God.
And what do you think about the Angel of God having blonde hair?
I think that everyone has a vision of what an angel is or should or can possibly look like. So why not? Why shouldn't an angel have blonde hair?
And high heels?
And high heels, who's to say?
And total fashion sense?
I think if you work for God, you got to have total fashion sense.
How do you know Desiree Dubonnet?
Oh, it's a nice question. I know her for a long time. I've been working with her for more than 1 year, 1.5. We are playing in a band together.
I see.
We are making rock and roll. It's cool.
What's the name of the band?
The name of the band is Desi and the Hans.
Uh-huh.
We are the Hans. And she is Desi, of course.
And what's your role in the
I'm
band?
a piano player, keyboard player.
Oh, keyboard player. So what do you think about Desiree Dubonnet?
Oh, she's the coolest person in the world I know. She's just amazing. Like at first time she seemed to be very strange. Mm-hmm. Then I started to know her better and better, and she's cool. I just can't say a word. She's a...
As a musician?
As a musician, also she is like, I haven't heard anything like that before. You know what I mean? She's an amazing person, like generous, smart, kind. It's very nice. It's very good to work with her and to know her.
What do you think about Desiree Dubonnet as the angel of God?
Okay, no, she is not the angel of God, but she okay. In this reality, she could be. She has so many powers. She has a very very good ideas. Very good. She sees the world like she sees very good from very good views. She sees a lot of problems. She can solve most of those. She can help in a lot of places, and she. Okay, if I was 8 years old, I would say yes, she's the angel of God. But I am 24, and I know that she isn't. But still, she is. Okay, on the world there are bad powers and good powers. Mm-hmm. And she absolutely she's in the good powers, which moves forward, which helps, which heals, which helps people. So she is a very very strong good power.
Well, Desiree is my friend and someone who I look up to a lot in many ways. She's a genius like nobody I've ever seen before or met before. She's out there, totally honest, totally open, totally in your face when she feels like it, but she's also kind and giving and tries eminently to be fair and to give people their space and to not interfere with their world. Very unusual person. In fact, when I try to explain my friendship with Desi to someone else, they don't get it. But they don't get it because they don't know anybody like Desi. I'm proud to know Desi. I love Desi.
Well, you're a close friend, and I'm sure you've had lots of conversations about Desiree's life and what's happening in Desiree's work and personal life. And so can you tell me in your own words about what you think about Desiree Dubonnet as the angel of God?
Well, one of Desi's beliefs is that she is the angel of God. Another one is that Desi is the Maitreya. I don't have too much problem with Desi as the Maitreya. Desi is the angel of God with those funny little wings that she wore in this movie once. I don't know if that really suits her, per se. I think that she is an angel of God, but I don't know if she is the angel of God. I think that she's more like a visionary who hasn't quite settled on the most appropriate way to bring about what she would like to achieve. And I think she's, well-meaning and well-intentioned, and certainly couldn't pick a better thing to work on for somebody of her capability. So I think she does a pretty good job all the way around.
Now, the Maitreya is the reincarnation of Buddha, which is due to come back to her sometime in the future. Tell me more about how you see Desiree as a Maitreya.
Well, Desi, it gives people a lot of freedom, more so than pretty much anybody else I ever saw. I tend to piss Desi off from time to time because I have certain habits or whatever, and yet she's still my friend, whereas another person might not be able to take that and might annoy them or whatever. As somebody who would be accepting of people the way they are, encouraging them to be who they are, the way they are, whatever that might be, I see Desi as somebody who accepts anybody and everybody however they want to be. It's about freedom, it's about choice. And let's see, about the Maitreya. Well, yeah, I think her highest value of people is freedom. very into freedom and into not interfering with their world.
And that's how you see the Maitreya?
I think so. I think that's how people come to learn to hit their own level, that someone should not push them in a direction, but they should travel their own path. And I think that Desi's very like that.
Well, thank you very much for the interview.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So, Cara, you're Desiree Dubonnait's daughter.
Yes.
So, tell me, what has Desiree told you about being the angel of God?
It's actually a secret. I haven't really heard much about it at all, but supposedly he's the angel of God. I don't really know much about it.
And what do you talk to your father about?
Him being Desiree himself. I mean, he's a very complicated person, actually. And my boyfriend here knows about it.
Hi, what's your name?
Joe. Pleasure.
Joe. Nice to meet you.
He's just been introduced to Desiree, actually. And what do you think about Desiree?
I don't know much. What I know so far, very good-hearted person.
He's very intelligent. He's one of the probably the most intelligent person I've ever met in my life. He's my father. I'm very proud of him. And I'm happy to introduce my boyfriend to him.
So how did that get on?
I mean...
It was a little overwhelming at first.
It was overwhelming for me.
I'm not quite the...
Introducing him to my dad was overwhelming for me because I love him very much. And
yeah, well, it's always hard to introduce, your partner to your parents. So I'm sure it was quite...
I'm not quite as highly educated as him. Someone at his... I'm not quite at his level. Genius.
He's basically a genius, like in my mind. I think of him as the most...
So did you find some topics you could communicate on?
Yeah, my dad's a very open person. He can talk to anybody in the world about anything.
But maybe some topics that you two get on.
We haven't quite had much time since I've been here to have a one-on-one conversation. He told me some stories, but that's pretty much it. Talked to him on the phone a couple times before he came. But
about protecting me.
What?
About protecting me.
Yeah, protecting me. I didn't know him and I was protecting him.
What do you think? Do you believe in angels?
Yes, I believe in angels.
And do you think that Desiree could be the angel of God?
Possibly. Yes, I'm open to it.
Open to it.
Can I say for sure? No.
You never know.
What do you think about Desiree Dubonnait as the angel of God?
The angel of God. Well, when I first met Desiree, she was not bestowed that title, I guess I could say, of the angel of God.
Yes. When was that?
That was like a few years ago, and then we came back a couple years later, and Desiree had told the whole story about how she became the angel of God, and it's one of those things that just makes sense. It's like, well, of course, it's kind of a next phase, a next step in the relationship kind of thing. Definitely.
And you say the next phase in the relationship. So is that Desiree's relationship with God?
I think it's more, like Desiree's, the plan, I guess, that's perhaps laid out for her somewhere or something, but I definitely believe that Desiree is the angel of God. The work she does, the giving qualities, the whole personality.
And Desiree has had many roles, so you've known Desiree through your acting.
Yes.
In the movie business, but also Desiree works has been also a doctor, works as a doctor currently. Do you think it's just another title?
Yes and no. I mean, it's more of Desiree is sort of everything. She's a writer, a creative person, a healer, a producer, a director, angel of God. I think it's just sort of like a list of sort of one of the many titles. Like, I don't think you could possibly say Desiree Dubonnait and then put the entire list of titles after her name, because it would just take too long.
Do you think there isn't a catastrophic event that's going to happen in which the angel of God is actually going to be able to provide some assistance to the human race?
For that, I would have to say yes and no. I mean, as a human being, I would have to say no. Like, I hope this is not going to happen. You know, in 5 years, we're going to have that catastrophic event that ends us all. But kind of in the back of your head, you kind of think, well, maybe this could happen. And if it does happen, I think the thing to stop that from happening, or the events that will stop that from happening, is Desiree Dubonnet.
And what makes you so sure of that?
I don't know. I mean, it's, if I had to swear in court, you know, that was sure, that was a fact. I don't know if I could actually do that based on evidence or, you know, or information, but it's just more of a kind of a feeling. Like, it's a kind of a sense of hope, I guess. Like, if the world is going to come to an end, we need sort of a sense of, well, maybe it won't. Maybe there's something or someone that can reverse that, or has the sense to turn that around, or can help us bring that back. And perhaps, as the angel of God, it's a meant to be kind of situation.
Well, I've had a good time tonight meeting Desiree's closest colleagues, friends, and family, but unfortunately, I still miss the star of the show. Hello? Yes? This is her speaking. Oh, yes. Thank you. Yes, that'd be great. I can't wait. I'll be there. Yeah, Thank you. Goodbye. We've had a chance to speak with your friends and family, and
are there experts, I've heard?
yes, specifically about your role as the angel of God.
Well, not the angel, a angel. You know, so give me a break. don't
Well,
make me... It's here we are. We're in Mount Sinai, right around the corner here. We're actually real close to the mountain of Moses, where we're going to be doing the final scene of the movie. The conflict between angel of God, that's what it says, and the devil. And I wanted to do this. Basically, the prophecy says in Revelations number 20, and I saw an angel, I want to make sure we understand that, coming in from the sky with a chain in one hand and a key in the other. And he will bind that devil, that serpent, that dragon, that Satan, throw him into the abyss, seal up the abyss for 1,000 years, as there will be 1,000 years of peace and harmony. That's what it says in the Bible.
Okay.
Now, in the Buddhist religion, they talk about the same 1,000 years, and they talk about the Maitreya. And I saw a picture of me that looked just like the Maitreya, and the Maitreya is supposed to be the Buddha who comes at this point in time and leads us to 1,000 years. And
yes.
having seen that picture a long time ago when I was just a kid, and I saw the statue of the Maitreya, and it just started me to think, am I that? Am I part of it? And then I just became obsessed with just the concept. 1,000 years of no major health problems. We don't have that now. We have all kinds of health problems. 1,000 years of no major greed. 1,000 years of no major prejudice. No major discrimination. And then I saw Star Trek, and Roddenberry paints us this picture. He paints us a picture of this. And I thought, how incredibly, fantastic the vision. A lot of people say that's why they like Star Trek, because it had that vision. Where some of the other ones don't really, all they ever show is just wars. You see, but they show a federation that's together.
But that's far in the future. So.
Well, how can we get there? What would it take for us to do that? And I thought about it. All the little steps of what needed to happen, what I call the message, because the word angel is meaning just messenger. So I figured out I was just a messenger, and the messenger is not important, it's the message.
Is Desiree Dubonnet the angel of God? Well, the good book says that God has many angels, and that a whole host of angels will come down to the earth to save and guide humanity. Who is to say what these angels will look like? Who is to say how these angels will speak? Or what group these angels will mix with in society? Desiree Dubonnet could very well be that angel of God.
This is Pishti, Nandi, Gabor, and Amlati. We are with Desiree Dubonnet. We just arrived to Torino. This is Italy, and we are back from our world tour. We have been to Sydney, Goa. Where else have we been?
South Africa.
South Africa, yeah. Mexico.
Egypt, Mexico.
Everywhere. We were just talking with the guys about a strange story which happened in South Africa with Desiree Dubonnet and us. We were on a safari, and you know, Desi has a special voice. She can make very, very low tones, like under 10 hertz, which cannot be heard by the human ears. So we were there on this track bus in the safari, and we were seeing every kind of animals. And then we got to this place where these elephants were having a party, or I don't know. And the guy told us that the elephants communicate in a very, very low voice, like 5 hertz or something. And then I told to Desi, hey Desi, then you can talk to the elephants. You can have a conversation. And she was like, oh yes, I'm gonna try. And she tried to make this whoa, really, really deep voice. And then all the female elephants started to move their ears, and they ran away. And then we continued our way with the truck, and a few minutes later the guide suddenly stopped the truck and told everybody not to move, because there was this huge, big male elephant coming right to us. And it was very, very scary. It was 2 meters long, tusks and everything. And Desi stopped doing the voice, and the guide said that under the eye there was a bag of the male elephant, which means that he had a lot of testosterone. You know, he was looking for the female. and when Desi stopped doing this slow voice, then the elephant stopped, turned around, and went back. It was scary, but very funny. So Desi could communicate with the elephants. She has the special voice.
I was travelling around in Europe, and I went to Rome, and I just happened to see Desiree and the Huns playing. And it was an unbelievable concert. In fact, I don't normally go to rock concerts at all, or any kind of concert at all, but I saw a placard somewhere, and I thought, well, this is going to be good. So I went along, and there was quite a long set. Desi and the Huns, they were playing, and they had a pretty long set with, 15 songs maybe, but there was one song which really stuck out, and that song was Nobody But Me, which apparently Desiree wrote in 1967, if I'm correct. And I think that it's won an Academy Award with the film The Departed. It was fantastic. I mean, the energy which was generated on stage by Desiree and the Huns, and Desiree's presence on stage, it blew me away.
This is John Baer, and he's come all the way to Sydney just to see Desiree Dubonnet as the Queen of Mardi Gras. John, how did you hear about Desiree?
Well, I gotta tell ya,
I used to work for a radio station out in Queensland called 4ZZZ, and it was through the radio station that I actually found out about Desiree and the things that she was involved in. It was only really through the radio that I discovered about her healing and her homeopathic skills too. This is something that, well, it took us by surprise. We only knew her for her music at first, and we did an interview with Chopper Read, who's a convicted criminal in Australia. He was in jail for about 22 years. We interviewed him and talked to him about his crimes. By the way, he chopped his ears off while he was in jail to get out of the prison. And coincidentally, he's also a fan of Desiree's, and the first time I saw one of her songs played live, Chopper Read was singing Plastic Jesus up on stage, Surfer's Paradise, I remember.
Have you ever met Desiree Dubonnet?
Well, I'd only ever heard about her. I mean, I'd seen some pictures. I thought, here's a good-looking Sheila. Maybe I should go and see for myself. But really, the thing that attracted me to her, more than anything else, it was an Aboriginal story that I heard when I was a kid. You know, out in the outback, spent a lot of time telling stories and talking about the dream time. And apparently there was a young boy, you know, around the centre of Australia, you know, the outback, who'd grown up, and as he grew up, his skin got very pale. And they said that the paler his skin got, the stronger his abilities to heal and to really help people. Eventually, the boy became a woman with beautiful long blonde hair. I'm not really sure why. Maybe it's because the woman is the nurturing. Therefore, I think she must just be pure goodness. This is something that is very intriguing.
And this is why you've come all the way to Sydney to see Desiree as the Queen of Mardi Gras.
Well, to tell you the truth, I'd never been to Sydney before. Coming from the sticks, didn't really get to see too much of the big smoke. And it was a good excuse to go to Sydney, and better than anything, it was a really good reason to go and see Desiree. If she's in Australia, what am I doing sitting at home? Yeah, I had to go down and see her myself.
And did you meet her?
I was one of the thousands of people who were following the float, blowing our horns and taking off most of our clothes. But it was just a really good party vibe. After we did get to talk, and she helped me with a few little personal problems, which...
Really?
Which, yeah, I have to thank her for. Yeah.
So she took some personal time with you?
Yeah, well, she's got time for anyone who'll listen. She really is. And you'll find that the people who are ready to accept her healing, they always are successful.
So you talk about this myth that you grew up with.
Yeah, it's the story of Minjaruk.
Mm-hmm.
Minjaruk is the name of the boy, and he grew up without a mother or father, just sprung out of the desert, and grew to be this great healer. Famous, very, very famous story among the Aborigines. They said they would heal the world of its illnesses, of evil.
And after meeting Desiree, do you think Desiree is Minjaruk?
I wouldn't doubt it for a second. If there is a Minjaruk, then it is Desiree. I know that. I don't doubt it for a second because I've seen her in action, and there's no faking it. She's 100% the real thing.
Well, men are from Mars and women are from Venus, but when Mars and Venus come together, you get Desiree.
Si guarisce di quello che lei ha scoperto.
Grazie. Okay, here's a little song that we do called Come to Know. Okay, boys? Come to know.
Idén több ezren vettek részt a Budapest melegparádon. Ez volt az első alkalom, hogy a rendezvény erőszakmentesen zajlott le. Ez többek szerint ennek a feliratnak köszönhető. Lehet, hogy Desiré Dubonnet üzenete eljutott a homofób fülekig.
Another issue that we want to talk about is that 7 to 10% of the population at any time is born left-handed. A long time ago, we used to kill these people because they were different. Now we recognize, oh, they're silly us, we shouldn't have killed those people. They're just different. They're not worth killing, okay? 7 to 10% of the population is born with cross-gender influences. Men born who feel like women, women who are born feel like men. This just happens. 2% of our population expresses it as homosexuality, leaving somewhere between 5 and 8% of the population who repress it. And these are the ones who have to most violently attack. Now, basically our society, back to the celebrity thing, our society has decided to let the little head make the choice. And what I'm here to say is that the choice of handedness does not take place in the hand. The choice of whether you're left or right-handed takes place in the brain. Okay. The choice of sexual preference and sexuality does not take place in the dick. And that will be a shock to a lot of people. Because a lot of people think, no, the dick is the entire choice. If you have a dick, you're a man, that's it. A friend of mine came back from Vietnam and had his dick blown off. And there was actual talk that he was no longer a man. He got married and he adopted kids. But there was actually an influence because we have so let the little head think. And if we turn on MTV, we're letting the little head think. And all these other things. And in today's world, we could destroy the Republican Democratic system. It's another part of my process. With the computer party.
Part of the message.
Part of the message is we could have a computer party. People could go on the internet and people could vote on every issue. That is democracy. We have the technology to actually bring democracy, because what we have now is not democracy. Every day we turn on the news, we see George Bush and all these people talk about democracy. We're bringing democracy. It's not democracy. They're bringing a republic.
So how can you fight the mass media? The mass media has given us the movies, has given us the pop TV.
After all the work I've done, singing, music, movies, etc., the mass media has completely blackballed me because my messages are too very powerful and very, very poignant. And the internet will bring my message to the people. Or whatever vehicle will happen, but I will continue doing my messages until it happens. I will make it happen. And God will provide that way. Because we could get to 1,000 years of peace and harmony. And my message is about these simple steps, some of the steps I've given you. And that's what people need to judge, is whether I am the messenger or not. That's the only thing that's relevant. The celebrity, the teacher, is irrelevant. It is the teachings that ultimately matter. And this is where we need, that's the very, very first step of all of this. The minorities in America are going to have to fight for it. I don't know what that means. I don't know what the extent that fight would mean. But we've seen wars fought for lots of other reasons.
Okay, so you're suggesting a revolution of some sort. We've seen in the past...
Is 1,000 years of peace and harmony worth it? I watch John Wayne filming movies and he talks about, freedom. We're willing to fight for freedom. Are we willing to fight for equality? We fought for equality, but it's never been given.
So,
the 21st day of the 12th month of 2012, according to the Mayans, there's no more, unless the hero twins, Desiree Bill, the Gemini twins, unless we can get the message to the world about greed. Now that doesn't come to us from my mind or from the movie script. That comes to us from the History Channel. Mm-hmm. That comes to us from the civilization. That comes from us from archaeology and history. That's where my movie is coming from. So it's a very intellectual movie. And nothing in the movie is made up. Everything is brought there for a historical, biblical, religious reference.
In the 11th century, the Crusades engendered a new wave of anti-Semitic persecution as Christian armies attempted to reclaim the Holy Land from its Muslim overlords. Fleeing from torture and persecution, Jews scattered across Europe and the Middle East, taking their secret traditions into new territories. By the 13th century, the mystical teachings had spread to Jewish communities in the lands that are now Germany, France, and Spain. The term Kabbalah, meaning receiving in Hebrew, became widely used to describe their religious practices.
We're really talking about a small group of Jewish teachers, rabbis, spiritual people who were gathering the earlier traditions, developing techniques of meditation, and reimagining God in some very startling ways.
One of the most significant events in the history of the movement occurred about 1280, when a Spanish rabbi claimed to have discovered yet another mysterious text. This soon became the single most important book in Kabbalah. It is called the Zohar, meaning radiance or splendor in Hebrew.
It's really the masterpiece of Kabbalah. The ideas of the Zohar are very radical and very startling.
Written predominantly in Aramaic, its pages are crammed with arcane symbolism and highly erotic language. By arousal below, there is similarly arousal above. Male and female unite, desire prevails, worlds are blessed, and above and below are in joy.
Well, here we are at St. Catherine's. This is supposed to be where Mary and Joseph came with Jesus on their way to Egypt, this oasis. This is the oldest monastery in the world, and this monastery is the only monastery that is Christian, Arab, and Jew, all in one. They still argue about what time to light candles, as if that's important. But this is the first place where we see a unity in the believers of the God of Abraham. Can we make it more contagious? Can we expand that to other places in the world? I'd sure like to hope so. We're making a project about that.
This is Esther Holbrook reporting for Truth TV, live from India. In this report, we'll be investigating the links between Desiree Dubonnet as the Angel of God and Desiree Dubonnet and the Maitreya.
I'm speaking with Sanjeev Kumar, a Buddhist scholar who's researching the coming of the Maitreya. He has recently divulged a new theory saying that the Maitreya is alive and living in Europe, and the Maitreya is Desiree Dubonnet. First of all, can you tell us a little bit about the Buddha?
Well, Esther, first of all, the Buddha is not a god. We do not believe in him as the Western believe in Jesus. He is simply a man who was able to rise above the life on earth, as most of us know, and reaches an enlightened state. We do not worship him, but learn from his example and the knowledge what he acquired.
What is the Maitreya?
The Maitreya is a Buddha who is going to have wisdom beyond other people. He is essentially going to bring us to the thousands years of peace and harmony. This means no major disease, little discriminations, little greed, peace, and harmony. This period has been described and predicted in all major religions, and this too is predicted in Buddhism. In Buddhism, we believe the change is coming soon.
And how did you discover that Desiree Dubonnet was the Maitreya?
Desiree Dubonnet, or Bill Nelson, shares many physical attributes that are associated with the depiction of the Maitreya. There are only a few prophetic artwork, drawings, and statues that tells us what the Maitreya will look like. If we look at the shape of the nose, the brow line, and the chin, we see the likeliness. But of course, it was the spiritual aspects of Dr. Bill Nelson, his homeopathy, his esoteric values, his enlightened lifestyle that leads us to seek our spiritual answer to his purpose. He exposed himself through his deeds as the Maitreya. To reduce suffering, you must reduce desire. Following the eightfold path helps one achieve the reducing of desires and thus the reduction of suffering. Desiree's mission is like a fifth truth in Four Noble Truths. He says, to reduce suffering, you must change things. That he has added to Buddhist doctrine like this is an indication that he is the Maitreya. His addition to the laws of spirituality and his intellectual contribution changes the world like no other.
Desiree asserts that he is the angel of God. How does this conflict with your belief that Desiree Dubonnet, Bill Nelson, is the Maitreya? I mean, you can't have an enlightened being with an identity crisis, can you?
Absolutely not. But being enlightened is not like that. Desiree's destiny is being made clear, and when he rises to that level, he will be completely beyond his spiritual path.
Is Desiree Dubonnet the Maitreya?
Definitely.
Throughout this investigation, Truth TV has been left with a number of perplexing questions. For instance, is 2012 really the end of the world? And what exactly is Desiree Dubonnet going to do about it? Another baffling point concerns what Desiree calls the lizard people. It's a reoccurring theme. In fact, every Desiree Dubonnet film features one. And not just for Desiree Dubonnet, but for David Icke, John Rhodes, and Riley Martin, to name a few. But are these mysterious lizard people for real? In an unbelievable twist of fate, Truth TV was contacted by one lizard who was willing to come forth and speak candidly about the elusive lizard people.
Jegyek, bérletek használata. A vonal átszálló gyűjtő és metrójegyet a metrón és a föld alattin az utazás megkezdése előtt, a peronzár vonalon való áthaladás előtt kell kezelni. A többi közlekedési eszközön felszállás után azonnal érvényesíteni kell a jegykezelő készülékkel. Az érvényesített jegyet nem szabad másra átruházni, az utazás végéig meg kell őrizni, és ellenőrzéskor a jegyellenőrnek át kell adni. Föld alattin fogaskerekün a vonal a teljes hosszán, különböző ideig, valamint a héven közigazgatás határáig érvényesek. A kutya utazásának díja mérettől függetlenül azonos az adott távolságra érvényes teljes áru menetdíj árával. Az elővárosi vasút vonalain a vonaljegy vagy gyűjtőjegy a vonal teljes hosszára érvényes. A kutya részére teljes áru havi bérlet váltható. Az általános bérletekre nem vonatkozó szabályok szerint az értékszabványt általános bérletigazolványban kell használni az arckép helyén EB felirattal. Az általános bérletekre vonatkozó szabályok szerint A rendőrségi, a mozgáskorlátozott személyt segítő és a vakvezető kutya utazása díjtalan. Egy járművön szerelvényenként csak egy kutya szállítható szájkosárral pórázon és tiszta állapotban. Egyéb kisebb állat, például macska, vadászgörény, teknősbéka, hajtetű, díjmentesen szállítható olyan csomagolásban, amely a kézipodgyász méretét nem haladja meg, és az utasok ruházatát, illetve járművet nem szennyezi be, valamint az ember bőr felületén.
Another thing that falls in line with Green, one of the big steps is equal economic education, because what we have now in the world today is an apartheid of the geography of a person's birth dictates the quality of their education.
Yes. I don't think anyone would disagree with that.
Somebody born in Compton, in a cheap part of LA, will get, as they grow up, will have a completely different education than somebody born a couple miles away in Beverly Hills. That is an apartheid. The apartheid that is built, this unequal education, a public education, because we have equality in public roads and public works, but not in education. Education is based on this old fiefdom idea, the serfs in this little territory. That is so inappropriate, because what it does now is it perpetuates the prejudice, because the people think that the Hispanics and blacks are stupid. They appear to be stupid solely because they get dramatically less money spent on their education. It is incredible, as we will find certain places in America where there is $1,000 per year per student in America. We will find that. We will find other schools, public schools in America, where there's over $500,000 per year per student. That complete discrepancy perpetuates the prejudice and builds the apartheid. And that is what we have to break. We have to break that in order to get that every child, we're not talking about giving houses, we're not talking about socialism, we're not talking about giving cars, giving food, giving money. We're not talking about that. We're talking about every child born, regardless of the geography of their birth, should have the same amount of money spent on their education. We have this incredible thing that's going like this. And this is an apartheid. And when this group has a racial connotation or strong connection, that's a strong apartheid. We've thrown this thing about education and we don't want to talk about it. Mm-hmm. The issues that I'm talking about here with this education, etc., are all very thorny issues that lead up to the fact of about money and how people at this point of time, when I'm talking parties or whatever, will always lean over and say, I'm afraid for you. They're afraid for my safety because I'm making a stance against big money. What does that say about the planet? That people are afraid of my safety? Because normal people don't want to take a stance against big money, the quote, big money system.
Good afternoon. We're speaking with Norman Burroughs, a cultural anthropologist and longtime acquaintance of Desiree Dubonnet. Norman, what do you think about Desiree Dubonnet, the person?
There's something about Desiree that needs to be said. Desiree is one of the world's smartest people. As a child, Bill's IQ was estimated at 200. That means maximum. The first person to have a maximum score in several IQ tests in America. Desiree worked on the Apollo spacecraft mission, developed many patents, wrote many books, studies. Desiree has postgraduate degrees in medicine, law, quantum physics, homeopathy, acupuncture, naturopathy, mathematics, science, counseling, psychology. But if Desiree's intelligence is vast, then there's something even far greater. Desiree's courage. Without doubt, Desiree is the most courageous person alive, if maybe the most courageous person who's ever lived. We think soldiers have courage to face death. That's true. But Desiree goes beyond just valor, beyond just adrenaline, beyond just a rush in the face of a moment of turmoil.
What does Desiree need all of this courage for?
Desiree faces one of the biggest threats, the threat of big money's influence. When you watch someone talk to Desiree about anything, you'll see a point where their eyes expand and they'll say the conversation goes too far as to become a threat to rich people. You see them back off from too much truth. They get afraid to continue, like they're being afraid of being prosecuted.
But don't people want to know the truth?
People want truth, but too much truth challenges rich people and seems to go too far. I've seen people be afraid to stand next to Desiree. I've seen people be afraid to talk to Desiree.
So, Norman, let me ask this question, which we've been asking everyone. Is Desiree the angel of God?
To stand up against greed, money, power, influence, it takes courage that is immeasurable. Is Desiree an angel or a messenger of God? Absolutely. And she has the courage to do it.
What is your feeling about what's going to happen? What's your prophecy?
Well, I'm sure that you and everybody in the listening audience and everybody is wondering who's the angel? What is it? Am I the angel? It doesn't matter. The word angel comes from the word messenger. And the only way to judge the messenger is through the message. And basically, let me give you the thumbnail of the message, the sketch of what we need to do, and let the people be the judge. What is it that I could see that could take us to that level? Well, one of the things, basically, I worked very, very hard on medicine to try to, because if we're going to get to the place of having freedom from major disease, what would we have to do? So I worked real hard on that. I built a machine. I did a whole thing.
Yes.
In fact, all of this, I have 25 hours on theangelofgod.com, which you can go to and get all the 25 hours of me talking about intricate details of the plan. So if you want to go to there, it's theangelofgod.com. And I tried to get an angel, but it was taken. So I had to get the angels, and that, so people think I'm not the. The Bible says that at the end of the times, before this 1,000 years, that there will be 10,000 times 10,000 angels. There'll be 100 million angels. You're an angel. People are angels bringing the message. That's what angels do, bring the message.
So what's your role?
Because the lizard people met me, and we talk about David Icke and these things, and if you watch my UFO movie, you can find out more about that. Let me just get right to the basic message to the judge. The drug companies hated me because of the work I did, because in order to find a way to get rid of major disease, one of the things we have to do is quit allopathy and quit synthetic drugs. As a culture, we have decided that synthetic foods are bad because they're incompatible with the human body. And we must realize that synthetic drugs are the same. Because of that process and that discovery that I was not able to speculate about, that I was able to prove that the synthetic drugs are bad. Synthetic drug companies have targeted me and made sure that my movies don't get press, made sure that I don't get funding. That's why I've had to do virtually everything on my own. Because Hollywood is so funded, as almost everybody in America, their portfolios are rich in the drug companies, pharmaceutical stocks.
Dr. Smith, you're aware of Dr. Nelson's medical inventions.
Yes.
And you also recognize these as medical breakthroughs.
Yes, certainly. Sure.
So why aren't they being recognized by the medical profession?
It's a bit of a long story, but for a few years now, you've seen these bumper stickers that say, subvert the dominant paradigm. It's a cute bumper sticker philosophy, but there is a reality behind it. Overturning the dominant way of thinking in any scientific pursuit, particularly the medical profession, requires years and decades of foresightful thinking. The old breed is not willing to accept any new ideas, revelatory though they may be. I've seen the figures from the doctor's technology, and apparently this has sold 20,000 units since 1995. Reportedly, millions of people have used the product, and it works. The doctor's philosophy is sound with regard to natural remedies, with regard to the problems traditional remedies have, and so forth. Someday, this will become the dominant paradigm, and I believe that the doctor will ultimately be proven vindicated.
Are people using this equipment now?
By all reports, yes, they are. Yes, they are. The growth of this product, the growth of the use of this product is increasing. And at least here in Europe, it's been successful, I would say.
So how many pieces of equipment have been sold?
Well, the figures say 20,000. For each of these pieces of equipment, there are several dozen users, I suppose. I believe that none of them are installed in so-called mainstream hospitals run by the big pharma companies, in which the major corporate interests have an interest. For reasons that speak for themselves, and clearly they're afraid of invasion of profit margin here, and this technology could be a threat to that.
So with these 20,000 sold, that's the number, right? 20,000. Mm-hmm. How accessible do you think this equipment is to the average person?
Well, unfortunately, not enough. Such breakthroughs take some time in the acceptance. You must remember, to put this into a historical perspective, you must remember, circulation of the blood was theorized a good 100 years before fully accepted by the medical community. Now we take it for granted. Something like herbal cures are now becoming accepted, and yet these are remedies that have existed for thousands of years. And yet it just takes a little bit of pushing out of the mainstream and a little bit of corporate money backing it up, and suddenly the true medicine is the alternative medicine. And so you have a situation today where money tells you money tells you which drug to take, basically.
And so how long do you think it will take before this medical breakthrough that Dr. Nelson has actually discovered comes to light, comes to society?
Hard to say. I'm a doctor, not a medium. These things take time, with some support, with good old word of mouth. Could be a generation, could be less.
You know, one of the reasons we're conducting these interviews about Dr. Bill Nelson, also known as Desiree Dubonnet, is that we are looking into Desiree as the angel of God. Is there a medical sense in which Dr. Nelson could be the angel of God?
Well, as a man of science, I wouldn't like to stake any claims on any metaphysical questions, but I would have no problem saying that Desiree is an angel of medicine, let's say, an angel of the medical world.
Boyd Anderson from the Quantum Alliance, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And what exactly is your position with the company?
I'm a regional director for Eastern Canada, I first got involved with the quantum biofeedback about 1.5 years ago. Some friends of mine had gotten into the business and asked me to have a look, check it out, which I did, and it was a very interesting experience, I'll tell you.
So what is your relationship with Dr. Bill Nelson?
Well, I first got to know Dr. Bill Nelson. I met him in Cabos, Mexico, about 1 year ago at a congress, because I was involved with bringing the device to the Ottawa Senators in the National Hockey League. And by the way, it looks like they're going to win the Stanley Cup this year. The 2 finalists will probably be the Detroit Red Wings and the Ottawa Senators, the 2 teams that I did bring the device to. So that's pretty cool.
And what's your connection with hockey?
Actually, I was a professional hockey player.
Really?
I left home at the age of 15 to play hockey as a career. I made some good accomplishments during my career. I happened to hold 3 records in hockey. But unfortunately, it came to an abrupt ending, and I did go into a tailspin. I went into a depression, and I didn't know how to come out of it because I had a certain lifestyle that I had created for myself. And then I got hooked up to the quantum device, the EPFX Skio, and it totally changed my life. After one session, the anger, because in life, I think most of our decisions are made through our subconscious, which is driven by our emotions, which is triggered by our feelings. And there's really only 2 types of feelings. You have bad or good. Mm-hmm. And what I love about the EPFX Skio is the fact that we focus on positive energy and positive thoughts. And after one session on the device, immediately it told me that I was suffering from anger, some hatred, because this was years and years of build-up throughout my life and disappointments. And after one therapy, it literally relieved a lot of stress. It was like taking a weight off of my shoulders. And I actually had tears in my eyes. I couldn't believe how much better I felt. And from that day forward, I have a very difficult time thinking about the past. I totally live for today and the future. And luckily, meeting Dr. Bill Nelson, I just want to say that I find him to be one of the most intelligent, kind, creative, and nice people that I've ever met. Shirley MacLaine, I understand, calls the EPFX the God box, and I truly do believe that he could be classified as an angel of God.
Bill and I worked together at General Motors, and he was a mathematical genius. He worked on the project with Apollo 13, and he worked long and hard to help bring those boys home. So we were all proud of him here at General Motors.
Dr. Thompson, you were interviewed earlier for a movie called Who's Afraid of Desiree Dubonnet?
That's correct.
And in that interview, you ascertained that Desiree Dubonnet has a unique chromosomal makeup.
He is unique indeed, different to most human beings. I think this is possibly due to as a result of the football accident and head injuries which he sustained during a high school football accident, which conversely actually worked in his favour, increasing his mental capabilities.
So Desiree wasn't born with this?
He wasn't born, he was made.
And what exactly does this mean, this chromosomal changes?
Well, for instance, to put it in layperson's terms, Desiree's thought patterns and speed of thought are remarkable and singular. The average person, let's say, brainwaves or ability to think is measured at something like 120th of a second, whereas Desiree's have been measured to being 150th of a second, which is absolutely remarkable and puts them in a category almost of one, and that is Desiree Dubonnet.
So does this make Desiree a mutant?
A mutant. I would hesitate to use such a term medically, but in the popular imagination, that actually might be the best way to explain the phenomenon that is Desiree Dubonnet.
So Desiree could be considered something like an X-Man.
Wow. If you were to draw the comparison, then Dr. X from the X-Men would be the closest, with his supracranial powers. But as I say, this is a way of explaining his incredible mental powers in a way that the person on the street might be able to understand.
And do you think Desiree could use these X powers to save the world?
I think that Desiree is engaged in doing just that, even as we speak, whether it's through his range of medical devices and products and teaching, or the phenomenal movies that he creates, or indeed as a singer, performer. In so many ways, I believe that he's contributing to an overall elevation of consciousness throughout the globe, and possibly beyond.
Are you aware that Desiree believes that she is the angel of God?
That is unknown to me.
Well, Desiree has this belief that she is the angel of God sent with a message to save the earth. And as you say, you believe that she's doing that now.
Mm.
And with that in mind, do you think she could be the angel of God?
Well, I can only speak as a medical man, and one is naturally skeptical, but there are many aspects of Desiree's life and the phenomenon that is Desiree that even to medical science are inexplicable. So to use a term like angel of God is one that I myself perhaps might shy away from, but it is also very difficult to explain in any other way.
Hi, my name is Shauna Linden. In 2000, I was diagnosed with squamous cell carcinoma, a relatively rare, slow-growing cancer. I noticed that my ears started to hurt, and eventually they started growing. It was both ears, and I thought something else was wrong. I just couldn't figure out what it was. I was put on radiation therapy and prescribed medication for the pain. I actually started to use the biofeedback machine to get rid of my headaches. A friend of mine had been having a lot of stress at work, and she said it even cut in half the time she had to go to physical therapy for a knee injury. I thought I would try it since it's completely safe and drug-free, and I was taking enough drugs as it was as part of my cancer treatment. In 2 sessions, not only were my headaches gone, my ears had started healing. They began to shrink, and in 6 months, the carcinoma was completely gone. The funny part is, when I got on the machine and closed my eyes to start the therapy, there was a warm glow and a white light and the deep voice of a woman saying, "It's going to be all right, everything." It wasn't until I was given a medical seminar video that I realized it had been Desiree, the voice of an angel with the gift to heal. That's Desiree.
We could turn the corner as an entire people of the planet. We can get together. We could recognize we all share air. We share a planet. But we need to do something. And we could do this. Everything that I've written in my plan could be done in 1 year.
In 1 year.
In 1 year.
So how do these movies play in with your vision that the end of the world is coming?
Well, each of the movies has a part. Each of the movies tells a piece of the puzzle. A bit of a very complicated message. How do we get to 1,000 years, and what do we do to keep that 1,000 years? So I made the movies. Each is a step. Now the movie we're making now, The Angel, this is going to be like the final, and that's where I believe that right now, according to the predictions of the Maitreya, according to the predictions of the Angel, according to all this stuff, I see a timeline, and I see the timeline that we have until 2012 to conquer greed. Recognize money's a drug, put controls on it, just like we do all the other drugs. Controls need to be made. We need to bring in democracy. We need to start recognizing equal economic education. The haves have to share with the have-nots in education. It's better to teach a man how to fish than to give him a fish. Give him a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish. Feed him for a lifetime. The idea is education. If we do the computer party, we got a lot of stupid people. This is all about raising the intellect and getting our society to stop thinking with the little head and to recognize that I can be a chick with a dick. Just because I have a dick, I can still be a chick. My little head doesn't do the thinking. So let me close with what I want to say, because Victor Hugo said it best. There's one thing more powerful than all the armies of the world. And that's an idea whose time has come.
Who am I? What am I? Where am I going? I am what I am. I am my own special creation. Come, take a look. Give me a hook, or give me your ovation. What can I say to myself every day? My name is Desiree. I am what I am. I am my own special creation. Come, take a look. Give me a hook. Give me a passion. I am what I am. I am my own special creation. It's my world. I want to take all my pride in my world. It's not a place that I have to hide in. Life's not worth a damn till you can say. Your pity. I bang my own drum. I think it's pretty. I don't do this to get a grin. I do this because to be what's within. I'm not trying to be funny.